Hey guys, we're back with another reaction video, and we are going to be having a very interesting conversation in this one. I'm working on some merchandise right now. This is going to be a fairy design that will appear in my shop. I am working on some rather tedious portions of this right now, so I figured that I would come here and do some reactions, kill some time, and, get some of this work done. Also, I've tried to make this clear in my previous videos, but I have not been able to figure out how to get my membership live streams working. So what I have been doing is compiling all of the videos of the raw reactions together and putting them up over on my members and also my Patreon. So I will hopefully get those things to you guys. And I feel very bad for not being able to meet my commitment. But anyway, let's get into our next reaction.
I did get gender fished. I don't know what you would call it, catfish. And I want to preface this story by saying no hate, no tea, no shade. Everybody from every community deserves love. You just got to get it from somebody who wants to give it back to you and who knows what they're getting themselves into.
I understand why a lot of trans people think that the best way for them to connect with people is to not exactly be transparent with them about being transgender. A lot of times you feel like people are going to have a judgment of you that is based in stereotype and based in, fear mongering. It does sometimes feel like, when you're a trans person, maybe the only way you're ever going to be able to find a person who's willing to date you is if they don't initially know that you're trans.
Anyway, I was talking to this guy. We were getting to know each other. He was black, he was fine, and when you think about a good man, you could think about him. He was attentive, he was a good conversationalist. He had a kid, I have two kids. He was smart, he knew how to spark my interest, he knew how to leave a little mystery. Everything was going pretty good. Well, for our first date, we went out to dinner. It was a nice steakhouse, everything went good. He ended up, he went back home, I went back home. So yeah, we kept on talking, and when you're talking to somebody and you kind of just got that feeling like, ooh, we're gonna end up together. I was feeling that. Anyway, second date rolls around, and this time he's invited me over to his house for a movie, which I was 100% down for. So I get to his house, we get comfortable on the couch. He wasn't suggestive of anything, you know what I mean? Real innocent, real cute. We ended up watching about 2 movies, and by that point, straight up, we're grown. If he wanted it, he could have got it, but he wasn't suggesting it, so obviously I'm gonna about it. Our next date was back at his place, nighttime. I pull up. He has like the cute dim lighting in his living room. He opens the door with no shirt on. And I'm like, damn, you got an intricate chess piece there. Like, caught me by surprise, but I liked what I saw, so it wasn't no big deal to me. And by this point, we were like a month and a half in, maybe 2 months. But I started asking about the tattoos, and I was like, do they have any meaning to you? And he was like, not really meaning, more so purpose. And I was like, purpose? Like, what's the purpose of a tattoo? And he was like, hiding some scars. And I was like, scars? I don't know. For some reason, instantly, I thought, like, did you get burned or something? Like, what scars are you covering? And he was like, no, like, scars on my chest. Like, I had surgery. And I was like, open heart? And he was like, no, not that kind of scar on the chest. He was like, I had something removed. And I'm like, all right, you're like playing around too much. You're beating around the bush. Like, tell me what you did. Like, what are you covering up? That's when he broke it to me that he has had top surgery, and I'm not dumb. I know top surgery usually comes with being transsexual. So obviously I'm taken aback, but I wasn't gonna be rude about it. I was like, top surgery, so you're trans, like you were born a female? And he was just like, yep. Like, so normal about it. Like, he knows I didn't know.
If you are in a situation where you're stealth dating, right? That's what we would call it back in the day, at least. You're really going to be putting yourself in a situation where you're being kind of rewarded mostly for how well you can be like a cis person. You're going to have to pander to that and cater to that and cater to that and cater to that and cater to that. And it's not a way to live. And I'm saying that as a person who has done this. Stealth was safety for me for sure, but it was also kind of like another trap, right? Sometimes you end up really connecting with someone in the way that they connected in this video, where you really feel like, oh my gosh, this person is so compatible with me. Like, we've got so much stuff going on with each other. We're so similar and we have a lot of the very same goals. And it's hard to connect with someone like that and then figure out later after the fact that, like, no, you guys are not compatible because they're never going to accept that you're trans. And the thing is, whenever you do this, whenever you hold off on telling people, you also put the power exclusively in the other person's hand to decide how the relationship is going to proceed.
I had no indicator that he was trans. And I mean, by this point, we had kissed on each other. We had rubbed on each other. Like, I don't know how I didn't catch on. I don't know. But I would say, like, I felt a tad bit, I don't know. I don't want to say weirded out, but yes, the feeling was a little weirded out. I'll just be honest, because I didn't know I was getting myself into that. And that's when I was just like, you know what? I think, like, I need to go home and, think on how I want to move with you next. I was like, because this is new to me and I can't even be 100% that I would want to continue talking to you in this manner. Like, and he was pretty understanding of that. He was like, okay, like, go home, think on it. He was like, I really hope this doesn't impact anything, because I felt like we had a good connection. And like, high key, I thought the same shit, but like, I don't know. I just have never been in that situation. I didn't know if I could give him what he needed. I didn't know, like, how to navigate that situation with him. And I'm not gonna lie, like, in my mind, I instantly knew I was not gonna continue this on. I didn't want to give him the impression of leading him on, but I also didn't want to straight up be rude and be like, oh no, I'm not doing this with you.
In so many ways, I don't really regret not saying on my dating profiles and such in the past that I was transgender, but I think that there is a lot of power that comes with it not being a secret. Because here's the thing, if you want that person to be in your life, if you want that person to truly, like, be in your family and meet the people that you grew up with, like, you're not going to be able to hide that you are a trans person. Not really. You may get away with it up to a certain point, but like, if you actually want someone to, like, be in your life, like, yeah, you're gonna have to be open about it, at least in a way where your partner knows. And frankly, I'm glad that my partners know. It's funny, Alexander, when we first started dating, he did not know. We went on one very normal date and then I told him and he did not care. He was very indifferent. And, a lot of men don't care. A lot more men don't care than I think people realize, frankly, which is, kind of a funny thing to me sometimes.
And, the whole drive home, he was texting me. He was like, I'm not going to say you're transphobic, but I would say, like, your opinion on trans men probably needs to change, because, like, you don't sound very smart when it comes to dealing with trans men. And he started bringing up dysphoria, and not saying I can't be an accommodating person, but I don't think I would have had it in me to help him deal with his gender dysphoria. Like, I don't know how to cater to that, because I'm not one in y'all's community. And, he said he wasn't going to call me transphobic. He just said that I'm a little ignorant on the subject. And maybe I am, but I do feel like I was emotionally intelligent enough to at least let him know, like, hey, I can't deal with this. But am I wrong for that? Was I wrong for that? I don't know.
I understand his desire to, come and say, oh, you're being ignorant and, you should treat trans men differently and yada, yada, yada. But like, and I know that this is where I get into a lot of issues with people, because I'm not a person who believes that, like, transphobia is a useful term to use for people who would exclude trans people from their dating pool. I just personally feel like that's a strange application. I understand why people would be so upset about this, but at the end of the day, you should want to be with people who want to be with you. And this is like the thing that really changed for me. There was a time in my life where I would spend so much time trying to gain acceptance from these men. It would be so important to me that they accepted me. And I never really experienced, like, being in mutual relationships with people until I started being super open about being trans. I do think that more and more trans people, if they can opt for stealth, complete stealth, they're gonna really start to try to do that. And again, I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense, but I will say that like it makes a lot less sense the more you realize that you can be in relationships with people who accept you, who treat you well, who treat you like a normal person, a so-called normal person, and also be out as trans. Sometimes it feels like it's a this or that sort of thing, but it really isn't. Like, I'm very happy to say that I have partners who are proud to be with me and are proud to be seen with me, who aren't conflicted about their relationship with me. And I used to think that the only way I would ever be able to find that is if I was closeted, if I was stealth. And really that wasn't true. Anyway, on that note, I will leave you guys with that. Let me know what you guys think about this story. I thought that it was a very interesting one. I know that there are tons and tons of people who have been wondering what's going on in my life. By the time you guys see this video, I will probably have a personal vlog up on my Patreon. I am sorry that I've not been as good about updating you guys over there, but we're going through it. We're going through a transition period, and I appreciate those of you guys who are patient with me. It means an awful lot to me. Anyway, on that note, I will talk to you guys later. I want you guys to stay hot and introspective, and always remember and never forget that you are beautiful and you are loved. Bye. Bye.